They came to our yard with an assault rifle. What would you do? If I hit him, I would kill him. They were so frail. They took everything from refrigerators to washing machines.
2 of my cars were broken into and 2 were stolen.
They threatened the head of the village with assault rifles. The head of the village baked bread for us. She wasn't obliged to.
We did not leave the basement for 4 months.
The rest of our life is not enough to rebuild everything that we had.
We thought that the Russians had returned. And then we saw that it was our guys. Yeah.
People were all crying.
I can't talk about it without tears. There's no water, there's no light, nothing. But it became easier to breathe. That's it.
Friends, today we had some coffee in Mykolaiv and planned to visit Kherson, but in the cafe we met the commander of a very effective unit. And he said that today his fighters will be delivering humanitarian aid to the villages which nobody has visited yet, meaning there's no electricity, no water, no connection. No one has really tried to reach these places. We'll be among the first ones. And we really want to talk with these people, ask them about what they experienced. We want to see everything with our own eyes. Friends, we're approaching the Vidov Brod. The distance is short, but we've been on the road for more than 2 hours due to the mining of the territories. So we have to go track to track. It's quite dangerous. We see a lot of destroyed houses, a lot of soldiers. The tension can be felt because the battles are happening very close. We haven't seen civilian people yet.
Come on. Let's go to the Chkalove street now.
That one.
Yes.
What did they do? They made a mess. Everything that was nobody's, they took.
Yes, they took everything that wasn't nobody's, everything.
They say, we don't know how to walk. We only know how to drive. Give us cars.
Amenities, cars.
There's a kindergarten there. There were their cars by which they came. They were on the hoods, on the roofs. They put on them something like, here they burned down a house and another one over there.
They burnt it.
My brother's house was set on fire on the street. The neighbors came out and said, house, smoke is coming from the house. So I went there and put it out.
People weren't being tortured, but they were often pointing assault rifles at people's foreheads.
They stuck one to my forehead. They had no idea yet. It was the first ones that came in black uniforms, police or whoever they were. While we were giving other people butter, flour, and they climbed over the high fence at our house and dragged me, started to beat me on the legs, put an automatic rifle to my forehead.
Here they burnt the house.
They said that they'd burned down the house. They did not know that I'm also military, former military.
They burnt this one, threw a grenade, completely burnt it.
People from the DNR came to me and said, we know that you were in the anti-terrorist operation. Then Russians came by car. We know about you. And then I was at my brother's house. They arrived drunk, and they didn't say that I was taking part in the Russian-Ukrainian war in the East. Only that I was in self-defense. I wasn't at home, they shouted. Where is your son? Where is the husband?
Yes. Be careful.
They came to us on the 6th of March. The very first Russian troops came on the 6th of March. For 4 months, we didn't leave the basements. We were constantly in the basements. We lived there. It was a horror. It's just a horror.
How did we live? We were afraid to leave the yard. They looted, they made a mess. Our village head was threatened with an assault rifle because some people snitched on her. What a horror. Ay, ay, ay. We were sitting in the cellars, sleeping there because we were afraid. We were in the cellars for half a year. Thanks to our administration head, we were not hungry here. At first, she tried to bring oil and flour from another village, baking bread for us. The head, she was baking bread. She wasn't obliged to. She was making sure we had water, power, as long as there was an opportunity. She was stopping there beforehand. They marched with assault rifles, disturbing everyone, so she was running around barehanded, fighting back. We told her that someone would kill her someday, God forbid, but God's mercy, they did not kill her. She took out her lard and said, "Don't go, people, don't go. These orcs, they were not humans, they were orcs. Don't go around houses, don't ask our people for food. I will bring you my lard, my lard."
I didn't go out against the assault rifles. I ran after them. I drove. They stole flour from my bakery. I caught up with their cars and returned the flour to the bakery. How? They came to people. I followed them, brought them back, because it was not possible otherwise. I was afraid. My husband fought in the war in the East. I was afraid. He told me, "We will be killed someday." He said, "We will be killed." We survived everything, thank God. The people who stayed here helped each other. That's how it was.
And what did they say to you when they were talking with the locals? Were they saying something? They said that Russia would stay here. Yes, we're planning to reach Odessa by the new year. He said that. Such nonsense.
They purposefully looted empty houses, which people had left.
They took everything, from refrigerators to washing machines to women's underwear.
Well, they smashed 2 of my cars, and they stole the other 2.
They put Z stickers on my Tavria.
Oh, you cleaned it already.
They smashed the blue Opel, they hit my son-in-law's Land Rover, and they destroyed the engines. They drove away, then we took our cars back. I already took them from the garage and from outside the village. But what can you do with them if they're armed with rifles? They took away all my weapons. I had 3 guns, and they took them all. When the last ones came, they were shooting up in the air, in the garden, and they were shooting at our feet. They wanted to take the forklift, but I didn't give it to them. Thank God that our army came soon, and the Russians left. Thus, there were still some untouched cars that were hidden.
We were hiding everything we could.
Yeah, they didn't take them all away. I had 2 Zills and I had a milk truck. I now deliver water to people. The truck was hidden, so it wasn't taken away. They took those trucks that stood on the street, but not the forklift, because they didn't have any time.
When the village head wasn't here, she went to Kryvyi Rih. It was on the 15th of April. Yeah, she wasn't in the village at all. Then this terrible looting began. We ourselves couldn't do anything. So we were forced, well, I was looking around for her, waiting for her, as she is a representative of the government, so maybe she could do something. They took everything possible, from school, from the library. Russians? Yes, the soldiers, Russians.
They took everything from the village council.
Yeah, they broke into the village council. They broke into the back door of the village council and they started taking everything out. Like, imagine that, even brooms.
They even took toilet paper from the toilet.
It's just terrible. And they let you come back after going to Kryvyi Rih. At that time, it was possible, in April.
On the 15th of April, we arrived at 6 in the evening from Kryvyi Rih.
Yeah.
The Russians already came to my yard and accused me of exposing their positions. I thought that my husband and I were screwed because of that.
Yeah, just that day, the village was getting shelled, starting from the morning. And they blamed her that she allegedly left the village and exposed the positions to the Ukrainian army. And that's why they were shelling the village. Although she was yet to reach our positions when the village was already getting shelled. It was 7 in the morning. And what did they do to you after that?
They didn't do anything. They came to us 3 times, interrogated us about the same, their positions, that's all. They didn't do anything to us. Nothing.
The thing is that we have few people here, and how could we be partisans if many people in the village were snitching?
No way, collaborators?
They were showing which cars were owned by who. We weren't able to be partisans.
And what about these people now?
This is a problem of the Secret Service of Ukraine, and we'll let them deal with it. They were beaten a little bit, and they're taking pictures of the signs of beating, and they're complaining. They're already hanging out with their army, and they're trying to do well with our guys.
When Ukrainian army came here, the attitude of our guys, it really was Ukrainians with whom you can talk, with whom you can...
We were all crying here, damn it.
And those Russians don't understand human language. They don't understand the relationship. This is how they are. You see, they start telling you that here are the guys from the front line, those who came a lot. I'm with the guys, they lived opposite of me and lived in my house. I talked to them. They said that many of our people died on the front lines. A young man, 19 years old, is walking in front of me. I asked, "Son, how old are you?" "Good day, I'm 19, he answered. I said, "Why are you here?" I asked. "You know that Zelensky signed a law, so if you surrender, you will be alive." He said, "You can't go there because they will rip off your skin and cut off something."
Yeah, they scared us. The Ukrainian troops will come and,
They said such scary things to boys, such scary.
But we knew the truth. They also wanted to take us out. They were coming to houses and telling people to leave the village.
They're strongly threatening us to leave.
They said that you'll be screwed here. But where can I go? All my life, I've been working to get that tractor. I work for that milk truck. And now, where can I go? If we leave now, him, me, he has equipment over there, Yurka, the farmer. Where would we return to if everything was robbed? If we came back, how would we continue to live? My whole life, we'll need an entire life to earn back what we had.
Tell us how you greeted our army. Well, we left the yard and got scared. We thought that the Russians returned. And then when we saw it was our guys, our army was driving here on tanks and we were waving at them. We came to them and we hugged everyone. Oh, we were so glad that our guys finally came. I was with the flag. Maybe you saw me on the internet with a flag. It was me. They said, "Oh, this woman is already on that street. That woman is running with the flag." It was me. Here, the flag is still hanging in the yard. Yeah. I immediately went out and I said, "Oh God, the horde is returning." And Sveta, the neighbor, shouted, "No, it's our guys." I ran to get the flag. I'm screaming, "Here, the Georgians come." They come, I ask, "Oh God, you're not gonna kill me, are you? You can watch it on the internet." I say, "You're not gonna kill me." And they said, "No, glory to Ukraine." And I answered, "Glory, glory to heroes." This was posted on the internet. I haven't seen it yet. That's it. So we met them on the first day here. Together with another family, we fed them because 7 men asked to. Everyone tried to greet them like this. And the girls, the neighbors met. The grandmother was standing. There were the neighbors. They also met on the street as we could. We didn't know right away that those were our guys coming. What was giving you the strength to hold on and believe that our army would return?
The hope that our guys will come back.
To me, for example, God, I believe only in God.
God gave it to us. We prayed and our relatives prayed.
My daughter is in Kyiv, so
We were told, wait until June, wait until July. Soon, soon. We were waiting month after month, and they finally came, thank God.
And what was giving you the strength to wait for our military?
Well, what gave us strength?
Faith in our soldiers. Probably, first of all, faith that they won't leave us, that we will still be Ukraine, not Russia. We didn't want to be Russia.
The Russians came, remove your flag at the village council, remove and put up the Russian flag. I told them, kill me, shoot, do what you want, but I will not put up the Russian flag. And so the Russian flag was not hoisted in our village.
Yes, it didn't stay with us for a single day.
Yes, not a day.
And how did you celebrate when the Ukrainian army came and liberated you?
And don't ask.
Why not?
I better not ask that.
So you celebrated well?
Very well. My wife still doesn't talk with me. No, she talks, but through her teeth. Carefully, of course.
People were all crying. To be honest, crying a lot.
It's hard to tell without tears.
To be honest, you came now and we went outside, we talked, communicate, move. But then we couldn't do that back then. My wife spent so many months in the cellar until now.
You know, I called my daughter today. She lives in Kherson. She says, "Dad, there's no water, there's no light, there's nothing." But it became much easier to breathe. That's how it is.
This man, he was in Afghanistan, went through everything. He saw everything.
In our village, behind the village, between Kostromka and Bezemene, where we were getting hit, thanks to our guys, they removed those tanks that were standing here. One of them put its muzzle in my window. It was destroyed, and the second one was destroyed near my close friend's house. The friend is also sitting there. Our guys are still in the car, so everything is fine. Who hasn't been through it, hasn't seen it, imagine. They come into your own yard with assault rifles. What would you do? I wasn't really afraid. They put the guns towards me. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid of death, but they didn't kill me. They took away the cart, took away the barrel, but I took it back from them later. The bombs were falling over there, and my mother's 87 years old and on all fours. I barely managed to put her in the cellar. I didn't have a cellar, but we survived. And we were driving under the shells, loaded my mother, and drove away. Thanks to our soldiers, we left.
One of them was so tiny, carrying an assault rifle, he came to take some water.
If I hit him, I would have killed him. They were walking like that, especially brats.
One day they came here, took one battery from the car. The next day he came again. I need a battery. Listen, I said, I'm sorry, you took one away yesterday. Like this, with an assault rifle, I would have beaten him myself. If I touched him once, I would have killed him, honestly.
Wait, my close friend's car was taken. All our lives, we were earning money. All our lives, we worked for ourselves. We worked on this land. And they came and took everything away. What could we do? Because there were many of them, and we had nothing. What could we do? Everyone tried to stay because we had to live somewhere. We were left with nothing at all. Can you imagine?
Without a house, without a farm.
I left, my daughter bought me pants. We had nothing at all. My wife's brother helped, gave something. We didn't take anything. We just took the documents and that's it. We ran away.
Why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? And where should I go? This is my land, this is my house, here are my children, my parents. Why should I go somewhere? And I have an elderly left here in the villages. Thanks God and thanks to the Army of Ukraine.
Dear friends, I have a trophy from Chkalove partisan heroes. What's left from a grenade launcher. We'll keep it to remind us that the Russian Federation's fucked. Friends, we're returning from Chkalove. Chkalove, right? We got here with the military, who brought humanitarian aid to the people, because almost nobody comes to them. There was only, as I saw, one car with humanitarian aid for the whole community. And what can I tell you? We talked a little with people, we listened to their stories, and in general, no, as everywhere, Russians are Russians. They were stealing everything, threatening people, throwing grenades into ordinary houses just for fun. Several houses were burned for no reason, but they quickly fled when our armed forces began to advance.
The last ones left us on the 8th of November, and the troops of the armed forces of Ukraine entered.
It's correct to say they ran away, not left.
The Ukrainian army came on the 10th of November at 5:30 in the evening. We were standing here and the boys were walking there. We thought the Russians returned. We ran back into the yards. We thought that this hell would repeat. And then we realized that they were our guys. We ran, falling over to the village council, thanking our army.
I say, we endured. We waited. We weren't ashamed to look into our army's eyes. We didn't betray them. We waited for them. And the most important thing is they didn't leave us.
We invited them to our houses. I have 3 of them living in my home.
Me too. The first night when they came out on the evening of the 10th of November, 8 people spent the night at my house. And everything was fine.
We are very grateful to them.
Everything was Ukraine and everything was fine.
Very grateful.
Well, we met with people who were really cool, really strong. And it was obvious that they were scared, but they weren't afraid to say what they thought. There was one cool woman, the head of the village, Ina. She said that in the first days, some information about her appeared in the media. Well, not in the media, but like somewhere on the internet, that she was a collaborator. But all the locals said that it's not true. They told us how she was helping every day. She did everything she could that the community could live without cooperating with the Russians. They made such key decisions collectively. I'm telling you, we weren't hungry. We weren't. The village head, she tried her best. After that, people were saying terrible things about her. It's terrible things that she didn't deserve. You asked people not to take anything from the Russians. Did they offer you their humanitarian aid?
They brought humanitarian aid. I gathered my people, and our people decided we didn't have any money. We didn't have any groceries, and our people decided that they would take humanitarian aid. That is why they brought it to us. I won't say that they didn't take it, because they did. There was simply no other way out.
Yeah, but she didn't leave. She stayed to help the people. Her husband fought in the Russian-Ukrainian War in the East since 2014. As I understood, he was also taking part in the war in Afghanistan. But he was defending Ukraine prior to the full-scale invasion for sure. And they didn't want to speak for a long time. Like, they didn't want to tell us. And then behind the scenes, this man started showing a video of broken Russian equipment on which he directed Ukrainian artillery. And, he handed over their positions to our military. And we thought there were no partisans there. But, it turns out that there are no former Ukrainian soldiers. People continued to serve even under occupation. He was very shy, and in the end he didn't really want to tell it, but we met his friend Alexander, who came to say hello from a nearby village. He was in the war in Afghanistan too. He told us that he also couldn't stand it when the Russians came. And they made their partisan network. They shared information about the amount of equipment, its movement, the direction of this movement with our military. Yeah, they worked very skillfully on it.
We were calling all the time. My phone was taken away. I was beaten for it. But I endured because I wasn't afraid of them.
And when there was no connection, then how did you call? Were you looking for a place to contact and pass information to the army?
We were looking for it, yes. We found some points in the attics and marked places where the signal was available. We were calling and passing all information. We have a son in Ivano-Frankivsk. He worked with the Armed Forces of Ukraine. He calls and says, "Dad, I know everything. Dad, the soldiers know everything." He said, "Son, there is one thing. There is another. Son, there are airplanes. There are helicopters. Dad, the army knows everything."
Fantastic people. And the way they talked about it, it sounds for them, even though it was very dangerous, but they're just fantastic people. I can't find the words. In short, they're real Ukrainians, real warriors. And it doesn't matter how old they are, but these people defended their land, and no Russian world, no, they couldn't stay here with such people. And we will do everything to tell all these stories to our future generations so that no one is going to forget them, because, everyone needs to know them. And there was no opinion that the South was surrendered or something else. In any way, people defended the South. They defended their land. And so, little by little, we'll liberate all of our territories, and we'll be reigning in our land. So, we're grateful to these fantastic people, to our military forces, and to our soldiers, thanks to whom we managed to reach and communicate with these people while their emotions were still very fresh. The way they talked about how they celebrated, how they cried is, it's worth a lot. And you understand how valuable each victory is for each of us. We'll all celebrate the victory of Ukraine, the final one. I can't even imagine how big it will be, but it will be a huge celebration.
I like the road. It's a typical thing for the deoccupied territories. When you drive and everywhere you see signs that there are mines and burnt equipment in it is everywhere.
We spent 3.5 hours on the road, right?
Around that time, and in the villages, there is civilian vehicles, burnt and destroyed cars, and a lot of equipment in the fields. In one place, we saw dead cows in the field. So it's typical for deoccupied territories. But it still shocks you constantly, because in normal life, you wouldn't be able to imagine it. And now, when you drive through territories where everything is mined and shelled, you think that even 6 months ago, you couldn't have imagined that there would be such a scale. And speaking of the fact that a year ago, we were talking with people from Odessa about the last expedition through Bessarabia. When we visited Odessa, the man said that he was from Odessa, and I immediately remembered this trip. How cool it was, how beautiful it was. We went to shoot some nature reserves, interesting people, and now we are filming the war and destroyed villages. That destroyed many lives, destroyed families, destroyed everything that people had amassed.
Yeah, but we're filming cool and interesting partisans.
Yes, but it's cool that we're filming it in the liberated territories. And that means that we will rebuild all of this. There will be new cows, new cars, new roads, and this is a cool incentive for us to live on and rebuild everything. We are returning from the village of Chkalove, Kherson region. There is only one road to this village because the others have not been demined. And this road is simply covered with flags that warn about mines everywhere along the sides. So you need to be very careful not to turn anywhere. And one of the dangers that I see when there is a swamp, it's important not to get thrown off. There are 2 hours of tough road ahead. We drive in the afternoon with such, I'll be honest, a risky feeling. And in many moments where we simply moved through this mud closely. I hope that we will return home happily and not wait for a car to pull us out of here. The work that we do is very important for us, for people and for Ukraine. Also, since we have a large foreign audience, it is important for boosting support for Ukraine abroad. Therefore, subscribe, like, promote Ukrainian content, and also do not forget that there is an opportunity, if you have already donated to the army, to remember that there is our Patreon. We will be very grateful if you also want to help us and continue our series of deoccupation stories about heroes, our heroes.
Today was an ultra-long and difficult road, and totally by chance, we managed to find people with whom you can go and film some stories in an area where no one has been yet. It's very important for us because these people have been alone for a long time, and the opinion about them is often distorted. For us, this is a very important trip because, to put it bluntly, we do not give up. If we don't have anything to film, we continue to look for people who can talk to us, and we appeal to all the military. And we thank those people who support us here in the organization of our expeditions and in helping us with getting around the deoccupied territories. And even though normalization measures have just been completed very recently, we have the opportunity to tell our audience the stories of people from the deoccupied territories.
території. Слава ЗСУ.
Glory to the armed forces. We'll see you.